Hello friends, and welcome back to another video. Today we will be reading this book. Trans Wizard Harriet Porber and the Bad Boy Parasaurolophus. I'm pretty sure that's how that's pronounced.
Parasaurolophus.
Hey! Okay, I've seen a lot of Chuck Tingle books, just basically the covers being reposted around the internet, and I've always been curious to actually read one, and what better opportunity could I possibly have than having a YouTube channel where I review ridiculous books. The intentions behind this are pretty obvious, despite J.K. Rowling, which I fully support. I am a big fan of Spite, an adult romance novel from two-time Hugo Award finalist Chuck Tingle. This caught my attention because, if you're not aware, which I don't know why you would be, I don't think I've ever talked about this online, I'm a complete nerd. I've kept up with the Hugo Awards religiously since I was in like the 9th grade. I've read all the winners. Well, not all the winners ever, all the winners since like then. This year, now that I'm out of school, I actually read all of the nominees. Anyway, don't worry about it. This isn't about me. This is about Chuck Tingle. So the story behind Chuck Tingle being nominated for the Hugos twice is actually very interesting. I read a much longer article about it right before I started filming this video, but I will read the little part about it on Chuck Tingle's Wikipedia page just to give you a little overview about this, because I thought it was interesting. In 2016, Tingle's Space Raptor Butt Invasion was a finalist for the Hugo Award for Best Short Story in the prestigious Hugo Awards for Science Fiction. This stemmed from a voting campaign by the alt-right Rabid Puppies group, a faction of the Sad Puppies movement that objects to the modern social trends in science fiction. However, Tingle disavowed the campaign, saying via his Twitter account that it was the work of devils and that if his book were to win, video game designer and anti-harassment activist Zoe Quinn would accept the award on his behalf. His story did not win, and Tingle subsequently published Pounded in the Butt by My Hugo Award Loss. In 2017, Tingle was a finalist for a second Hugo Award, this time for Best Fan Writer. He did not win, and later published Pounded in the Butt by my second Hugo Award nomination. In 2019, Tingle was one of the special guests featured on YouTuber HBomberGuy's charity livestream for UK trans children's support group Mermaids. A few days later, Tingle published a book titled Pounded in the Butt by the handsome sentient manifestation of my Twitch stream. From what I can gather, Chuck Tingle's stuff was pretty universally apolitical before all of this happened, and since this incident of the alt-right trying to troll the Hugo Awards using his stuff, he's become a lot more vocal in support of progressive causes, in support of trans causes, and now of course we have this. So it all comes around, it's all relevant. See? So now I'm gonna get into the part where I actually explain to you what the hell actually goes on in a Chuck Tingle book, because I feel like a lot of you are probably in the same boat that I was in before I read this, of being very aware of Chuck Tingle, seeing excerpts from his books and seeing covers everywhere, but not actually ever having gotten through 150 pages of one. So buckle up, we're gonna have this experience together. But before we get into it, I need to tell you about this video's sponsor, Function of Beauty. You are probably familiar with Function of Beauty's customizable hair care line. They've been a long-time sponsor of this channel, and I'm happy to announce that they have expanded into skincare as well. Skincare is something that is so subjective and personal, and the Function of Beauty model of tailoring your formula to fit your personal needs is just chef kiss perfect for skincare. You get to customize the formula of your products based on your skin profile, sensitivities, makeup use, as well as your goals and the corresponding ingredients to help you achieve those goals. So for example, vitamin C and tangerine extract for brightening, hyaluronic acid and blue-green algae for hydration, salicylic acid to reduce breakouts. Salicylic acid is an essential in my own skincare routine. My skin is extremely oily and acne prone. Another thing I love about this serum is that it's super lightweight and absorbs into your skin quickly, so you're not sitting around feeling sticky for like 500 years after doing your skincare routine. I love that you know exactly which ingredients are going into the products that you buy, but also it helps you learn what ingredients are good for your skin and what works for you personally. And as always with Function of Beauty, everything is 100% cruelty-free and vegan and contains no parabens or sulfates, so make sure that you click the link in the description below to get 20% off your custom serum and a free headband. Haha, get it? It says do you, cause dewy skincare. Be nice one, Function of Beauty. All this can be yours if you click the link in the description below. And now, back to your regularly scheduled content. First immediate impressions when I started reading this book. I should put it down, first of all, so I'm not just like going like this the entire video. Okay, so I'm normal. Okay, first impression is that this is the best written thing that I've ever read for a video by far. It is no literary masterpiece, but it is a literary masterpiece in the category of ridiculous erotica books that I read for this channel, I guess. And also the world building is completely different from the universe of Harry Potter. This does not take place at Hogwarts. Harriet lives in Brooklyn, New York. She's not even British. She's something called a spell crafter, and she wrote the biggest, fanciest viral spell of the past 3 years, but now she feels washed up, she's got writer's block, she stares out her window all day. So her spellcrafting agent, Minerva, is like well, maybe you just need like a change of scenery to inspire you. You can use my vacation home in the Tingle Islands anytime you want. That's pretty much all that happens, like, plot-wise in the first chapter, but there's a lot of stuff about searching for inspiration and like trying to find your passion again, and the stresses of being a content creator. That is actually interesting and well written. Like, Harriet is a really good, like, I like her a lot as a character right off the bat. Like, she is believable, she is fleshed out. I am excited to go through an entire book with her. This is the opposite of the dread I usually feel when I start one of these books. In chapter 2, we meet two characters named Bellatrix and Braco. And they are not... Stop picturing this. Don't... They are, in fact, sentient motorcycles. You see? You see? This is what we're dealing with here. Sentient motorcycles with human heads. I'm pretty sure they have arms, too. I mean, she is not depicted with arms in this particular rendition, but there are many references later on to them picking things up, so I presume they've got arms somewhere. So the Tingle Islands, where Minerva's vacation house is, they're in England, and so she's traveled over there, she's on the ferry over to the islands, and she gets lightly bullied by some mean sentient motorcycles who make fun of her shoes. Nice to meet you, Harriet, Braco continues. I really do love your outfit. Thanks, I reply. You look so comfortable, Bellatrix chimes in. Also, they drive a car. The motorcycles, they drive a car. They're motorcycles, but they drive a car. And also, it's an obnoxiously yellow sports car, and they hold up all the cars that are trying to leave when it's time to disembark the ferry, you know, just to complete the obnoxious middle school bully aesthetic, I guess. Later, Harriet is settled into Minerva's cabin and trying to sit down and do some writing when she is rudely disturbed by a wild party next door. And whose car does she see parked in front of the cabin next door but Bellatrix and Braco's obnoxious sports car? That is the last straw for her, and she storms down to go demand to have some harsh words with them. I raise my hand to pound on the door one last time when suddenly it opens wide and I stop dead in my tracks. I'd fully expected to find the motorcycle standing before me with the same obnoxious grins, but what I received could not be any farther removed. There in the doorway is a tall, breathtakingly handsome dinosaur. Shirtless and chiseled in all of his muscular glory, he's covered in tattoos, giving his scaly green canvas an even more exotic edge, and his eyes are wide and yellow. His face is covered in a perfectly trimmed 5 o'clock shadow, not long enough to be a beard, but nicely emphasizing his dark features and strong jaw. His hair is long and dark, providing an angsty, gothic frame to his handsome mug. He appears to be a Parasaurolophus. Hi, is all I can manage to say, the word falling limply from my mouth. I'm Snape. The prehistoric creature says in a thick British accent, "You must be Harriet, I correct him, stumbling over the word a bit. Right, the bike said they met you on the boat, huh?" Snape continues. I'm vaguely aware that I'm supposed to respond at this point, but I'm just too entranced by Snape's shirtless body to say anything. The dinosaur is damn near comically toned, his rugged prehistoric shape, something that shouldn't naturally exist outside of the pages of a fitness magazine or a romance book cover. It turns out the loud music was Snape practicing his song spells. He's something called a bard, which in this universe, those who manifest magical effects through musical means rather than written word of spell books. So he's a bad boy band member, essentially. That's who he is. That's what we're dealing with. He's an asshole who knows he's hot and doesn't need to be polite to anyone, you know the trope. And so does he, actually. I'm sorry, he suddenly blurts, noticing my appalled expression. I'm just written this way. What? I question, confused. It's a trope in romance, the dinosaur continues. The more of an asshole I am in this part of the book, the better the payoff is when you change me later on. I have no idea what you're talking about, I reply, shaking my head from side to side. It's okay, the Parasaurolophus continues. It's just as long as it's clear that this is fiction in the real world, you should totally break up with someone who acts like this. Anyway, Harriet is like so... What a weird asshole. I have no idea what he's talking about. How strange. Even for me, strange eons. She's like, so, you want to turn down the music? And he's like, no. I cannot compromise my art. Trust me, I don't love acting this way either. I guess it's just important to remember that just because a fictional character is a jerk, it doesn't mean the author is too. Likewise, if a fictional character is sweet and awesome, their author could still be really awful and bigoted. Very, very, very subtle, Chuck Tingle. Very subtle. I'm gonna start saying Snape at some point, because Snape just, it doesn't roll off the tongue, you know? That night, Harriet goes out to try some local seafood and has a very convenient chance encounter with a waitress named Gobby, of course, who just happens to know Snape and tells her that he is in fact a very, very generous dinosaur. He tips very well. He even gave her money when her daughter was sick. And Harriet is like, wow, that's crazy that he did that. That's actually so kind. My point of view that he is a horrible asshole is being challenged. However, when she leaves the restaurant, she finds that all 4 tires on her rental car have been slashed. And the waitress is like, what in the world did you run over to pop all 4 tires? I shake my head. Nothing. I can think of something I should have run over though. All her tires are gone. She can't drive home. Yes, she can do magic, but like, don't worry about that right now. She left her wand at home. She left it at home. About 2 hours into my walk, however, one of the cars slows down. Where you headed? Calls the familiar motorcycle voice of Bellatrix from her yellow sports car. What does a motorcycle voice sound like? You shouldn't be out here walking in those fancy, expensive shoes. Yeah, they're too cute, Braco yells, piling it on. They have one insult. They're literally middle school bullies like, you're like, shoes are ugly. Oh, it's so annoying. Okay. She gets home that night and absolutely loses her shit when she sees Snape sitting on the dock in the sunset playing the acoustic guitar. That's just one step too far. She runs up, she grabs his guitar and she throws it into the water. He barely reacts to this though. I guess he's enlightened because he's attuned to the Tingleverse with his meta magic. At this point, Harriet admits to herself that she is just slightly wooed by his musical talents. That acoustic guitar song was just really something, really showing off his soft side, and also his rippling dinosaur muscles are just, you know. There's also like a big fancy yacht like parked right there at the dock. My eyes wander across the gorgeous yacht. How rich are you? I finally ask. Pretty rich, Snape informs me. I didn't really earn it though. I was written into incredible wealth by Chuck Tingle, the author. You can't really just be a bad boy in books like this. You've got to be a billionaire bad boy. It's kind of toxic actually. And he's like, by the way, that guitar that you just threw into the ocean was like an irreplaceable vintage piece worth $15,000. And she's like, well shit. Well shit, I'd pay you back, but I have no money, so I guess sucks to suck. And he's like, you know how you can repay me though? What if you let me take you on a date? Smooth. And she's like, oh no, I know this type. I know that even if he has his soft moments and plays the acoustic guitar, I know that he is still a toxic bad boy. No thanks, I tell him and turn around without another word and start heading back up to the house. Behind me, I can hear Snape's haunting acoustic guitar song begin yet again, a beautiful piece of music, somehow clawing its way from the soul of this rugged and damaged dinosaur. Chapter 4, her agent Minerva calls her and is like, so, how's it going? You being productive? You writing the next bestseller? And Harriet is like, bro, calm down, it's been a day. Also, let me tell you about these trash neighbors I have. And Minerva's like, oh, you mean Snape? Snape still lives there? I remember him from my childhood on the island. And Harriet is like, oh shit. Was he an asshole child too? And Minerva's like, no, actually, he was like the kindest, most generous, amazing person I have ever met in my entire life. That's not the dinosaur I met, I reply. You know, the two of you actually have a lot in common. He's a spellcrafter like you are, just in a different way. Plus, you're both trans, Minerva offers. Wait, really? I blurt. You didn't know? Minerva continues, clearly a little shocked. That's a huge part of his lyrics. He's trans and proud. Huh. Is all I can think to say in response. I never really paid attention to the words, I guess. Anyway, when the band was coming up, he stopped taking trips to the island. By then, his whole personality had changed. It's like he was constantly trying to prove something to the rest of the world. Sure, he's a little rough around the edges, but there's a kind heart very deep down there somewhere. Minerva also gives her the advice that she should totally go on that date with him because it might be inspiring. Just as Harriet is sitting down that day to have her usual breakfast of spaghetti and chocolate milk, there's a knock on the door. And who is it? But Bellatrix. What do you want? I call through the door, not trusting this sentient motorbike for a second. To talk, Bellatrix retorts bluntly. This early in the morning, I reply. Don't you mean this late in the night? Bellatrix counters, then laughs loudly to herself. I now notice that the motorcycle is utterly drunk off her ass. I have no doubt she's telling the truth, and that Bellatrix has been up all night, tossing back chocolate milk from dusk till dawn. Wait. So is every beverage in this book just replaced with chocolate milk? And she ordered spaghetti at the restaurant too, so is all the food spaghetti? At this point in the book, I'm wondering if the only forms of sustenance in the Tingleverse are chocolate milk and spaghetti, because clearly there's a lot of rules here, there's a lot of jokes I'm not in on, so I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, okay? I'm new here. Bellatrix is like, leave Snape alone, you're ruining everything. And Harriet is like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I hate him and he's rude. Even though she was just considering going on a date with him, what does it mean? This is a psychological thriller right here. Harriet quickly realizes that Bellatrix is unhealthily obsessed with Snape, far beyond what would be normal in a poly relationship between a dinosaur and two motorcycles. And just to see what will happen, because she finds this all so psychologically interesting, she tells Bellatrix that she is in fact going on a date with Snape. And after this encounter, she is so inspired that she starts writing her next masterpiece immediately. So what you're telling me, Mr. Tingle, is that she just absolutely thrives on drama.
The next day.
Chapter 5. We have arrived on the day of Harriet's date with Snape. He orders steak, which proves to us that not all of the food in this book is spaghetti. There's no sign of any non-chocolate milk beverages yet, though. They actually, at dinner, end up having, like, a really good conversation about creativity and self-worth, and why is this book good? Why is this book? Look at this. Why is this book good? Who gave you the right, Mr. Tingle? They actually like each other and connect intellectually. Maybe the ultimate parody of shitty romance novels was being good? Whoa. That is not to say that there aren't some cheesy garbage moments. The ultimate message of this book is good. The relationship is healthy, and I genuinely like them together, but there are lots of cheesy garbage moments and purposely badly written moments. Do not get me wrong. Snape follows my gaze out the window, joining me in this moment of cosmic awe. It's hard to imagine struggling for inspiration when there's so much raw magic and beauty in the universe. Maybe there's a beauty within Snape's conflicted personality that's perfect exactly the way it is, like these gorgeous stars that have hung above my head without me ever finding the right time to notice them. That's a without the darkness, how would we ever see the stars? Twilight moment or something like that. That's the line, right? There's also some drunk guys in the restaurant who are being real rowdy, harassing Gobby. So naturally Snape takes it Snape. I said Snape! See, I knew I was gonna say Snape! There's some drunk guys harassing Gobby, so naturally Snape has to step in, be the manly man, and punch them out and drag them one by one out of the restaurant, and nobody actually seems too bothered by this, as if this is just like, yeah, a casual occurrence. Am I supposed to be impressed by that, I question? Violence isn't a huge turn-on for me. Snape shakes his head. No, they just need to think about how they treat Gobby when they come in here. I'm not here to impress anyone. You've got to remember that bad boy characters walk the line between appropriate and inappropriate. I have to admit, while I'd like to pretend that Snape's aggression didn't turn me on, there's something to be said of a man who, what does he do? Sorry, I gotta turn the page. A man who takes charge of a situation passionately. Snape nods. I can feel the meta layers of reality vibrating, so I know we're on track. As a bad boy character, this kind of thing is bound to happen, and you're bound to be both disgusted and impressed. You know you can turn these feelings of aggression into inspiration, I offer. She offers a lot now that I realize, now that I'm reading all of these passages in succession. Fuck, okay. That's what spellcrafting is for. That's what art is for. It's easier to be a bad boy, Snape informs me. I never said it was easy, I counter. Whoa. Harriet is so conflicted now because she's so attracted to him, but also he's a bad boy with 2 sentient motorcycle girlfriends, and Snape is like, no, it's not like that, you see. I'm not, like, opposed to dating 2 sentient motorcycles at the same time, but also, it's not like that at all. I will kick them out so that we can be together, if you wish, my queen. But then, what timing? What miraculous timing! Draco bursts into the restaurant and informs them that Bellatrix is in the hospital and Snape needs to come immediately. Chapter 6. They all go to the hospital to see Bellatrix, and she's like, I fell off a dock and got concussed. Snape, take care of me, I'm so weak. I am concussed! But there's holes in the story, there's holes in the story, and the timing sure is real convenient. And then when Snape hugs her, and she looks over his shoulder at Harriet and gives her a sly wink, so something's up! A few days pass, and she hasn't seen Snape because he's been distracted by taking care of Bellatrix. Then one day, Harriet decides to take a walk in the woods, and who decides to follow her into the woods? But Snape. They then fuck for like 5 pages. I know that what just happened between Snape and I will only serve to complicate things, and it was probably a terrible idea from the start, but I'll be damned if I didn't enjoy myself. My biggest concern, of course, is that no matter how hard I try, Snape continues to work his way deeper into my heart. There's a connection between us that refuses to come undone, slowly pulling us closer and closer together. Now that we've had sex, will this fascination finally be quelled? Or will things just continue to grow even more heated than before? I sit down at the kitchen table, letting these romantic thoughts bloom across my mind. I don't know why I said it like that. I picture a myriad of different futures with Snape. What it would be like to travel the world with him or to settle down and start a family. It only takes a moment for me to snap out of it. Of course, this will be the end of it, I realize, because Snape and me can never truly be an item, regardless of how attracted I am to the dinosaur, or how much he tries to release the sweet soul hidden behind his angsty bad boy exterior. He is currently not in any position to have a functioning adult relationship. My dudes. My dudes, why am I slapping this book? I don't need to slap this book around. I like this book. I have no bad emotions to take out on this book. I like this book. I love Harriet so much. She has so much common sense, and she has so much healthy boundaries. A queen amongst romance novel protagonists. He also gives her a flash drive with the new song he's working on, which is the beautiful acoustic guitar piece he was playing the first time that they talked, and she listens to it, and it is the most beautiful, magical thing she has ever heard in her entire life. And the reason why will shock you. Maybe not at this point. Just buckle up. The spell itself, because remember, he makes song spells. He's a bard. The spell itself begins to take effect. I see line after line of black and white bars stacked on top of one another, running horizontally and stretching on for what seems like forever. At first I'm not quite sure what they are, but the longer I stare, I realize that these bars are actually words. Long, beautiful descriptions of exactly what's going on around me. I see the previous paragraph, along with the one that comes after this. I see my whole world for what it is, a glorious piece of art. And because of this realization, I realize that I am separate from the story that I am written into. The very nature of metamagic means that my mind, my soul, is separate from this story. I am me, regardless of the framework that I have suddenly appeared in. When the song finishes, I wipe a single tear from the corner of my eye. Mr. Tingle, I would like to have a word. Chapter 7. Harriet wakes up in the middle of the night because she thinks that she hears someone sneaking around her cabin at night, but then when she wakes up and looks around, she finds nobody. Intrigue. Intrigue indeed, because the next day, Snape confronts her for leaking his new song online and ruining his amazing comeback that he was planning to make. Obviously she knows it was Bellatrix and Draco who snuck in to leak his song and ruin their relationship, but he doesn't believe her. He says he never wants to see her again. Oh my god. She also, while walking down the beach, finds a bloody oar washed up, like an oar, like a paddle washed up on the beach, which proves, without a doubt, that this is in fact the weapon that Bellatrix used to smack herself in the head to concuss herself and win back Snape's affection. It's proof. It's concrete proof. Don't even worry about it. Snape is certainly angry right now, but he's not dumb. I could bring this paddle right up to his door and blow the lid off everything. Could you? Though, really, could you? But I refuse. If Snape's going to grow up, then he needs to do it for himself. There's already enough evidence that Bellatrix is utterly insane, but Snape absolutely refuses to give up a hold on his bad boy lifestyle and the motorcycles who come with it. This is the point. This is the point in the book. This is the point in the book where it finally dawned on me that they're motorcycles because he's a romance novel bad boy with motorcycles. That's why they're motorcycles. They're personified representations of his unhealthy bad boy lifestyle. Mr. Tingle, I am going to find you. Chapter 8. Due to all of this drama, Harriet considers leaving the island, but she can't because the place is just so inspiring and her writing is going so well and all the new spell publishers are loving this new stuff that she's sending them. Seriously though, my spellcraft agent continues gushing. The first spell was fantastic, it really was, but this is a whole other level. Everything is so raw and real. And ambitious. You're really stretching your limits with this one. Thank you, I reply, not knowing what else to say. My agent lowers her voice again. Is this actually going to work? A spell that brings you the one thing you need exactly when you need it? It feels very abstract. I read this and I was like, this is gonna turn into some hashtag deep shit where like it turns out that what she really needed all along was true love or something, you know? And then one day she shows up to the seafood restaurant, which she is now a regular of. She goes there every single week on the same days. So if someone wanted to find her there by crazy chance, they would know exactly when to ambush her with a romantic serenade. Which is exactly what he does. He ambushes her with a romantic serenade to win her back, now that he's realized that Bellatrix is insane. Not only do I see myself as a character on a page, I see the actual words themselves. I gaze out through the limits of this world and see the reader themselves, their mouths instinctively curling up into a smile when they realize they're being referenced. I'm pretty sure I looked more like this. The bad boy motorcycles are gone, so now they can live happily ever after together. He also asks her to sing backup vocals on the song, and she agrees, but when they get back to his place to do the actual recording, she starts getting really nervous about it. Do you have any tricks for when you're nervous performing? I question. There's a moment of silence from Snape, then some faint shuffling. Seconds later, the muscular Parasaurolophus appears in the window before me, shirtless. Oh my god, I blurt in a fit of laughter. Just imagine the audience is naked, he calls out playfully. I can only see his upper half through the window, but I now realize the dinosaur is completely nude. Is it working? Snape continues. Because you're just as quiet as before. I smile, shaking my head, and laugh to myself. Maybe you should try getting naked too, Snape suggests. And Harriet naturally assumes that they're just gonna have sex now, but he's like, no, you got... we're professionals. We're professionals here. You gotta do the recording first. So they record the song naked, and then they fuck for like 5 pages. I don't think it's like 5 pages this time. It's like 2.5.
the next day.
Chapter 9. Some time has passed. They've U-hauled, obviously. Everything is amazing. Every day they are so in love and inspired. Art. And then one day, the bloody corpse of an animal is delivered to their doorstep. Snape is trying to be rational about this. He's like, you know, an animal could have been hit by a car down on the main road and made its way up here before kicking the bucket. Or a motorcycle. I offer. The two of us stand in silence for a moment. You get started with your writing, Snape offers. Okay, the amount of times I offer, Snape the amount of time they have offered is getting on my nerves a little bit. For the most part, the writing in this book is like, it's passable. Like, it's not impressive, but like, it doesn't like annoy me most of the time. But like now the offering is it's getting to me a little bit. But you get started on your writing, Snape offers. I'll sing this off and you'll never have to think about it again. I wrap my arms around the beautiful tattoo-covered dinosaur and kiss him deeply. How does that even work? He's got like a snoot. How does that, what? I don't love this mental image. The Parasaurolophus clears his throat and then begins to sing a cleaning incantation. I watch as swirling splashes of water begin to manifest in the air before us and then rush across the ground, pushing the carnage off into the woods and then scrubbing down the place where the animal carcass had been left. But the fuckery is not over. When they get in the car to drive to the restaurant that night, the same restaurant, it's always the same restaurant. When they get in the car to go to dinner, they realize that someone has pulled a really cute, quirky, fun, fresh, and flirty prank of disconnecting their brakes. So they crash and realize that the passenger side airbag has also been deactivated. So this is an attempt specifically to murder Harriet. I wonder who could possibly... Anyway, thankfully she is only mildly concussed and is carried out of the wreck by Snape's big, scaly, muscular arms. He takes my hands in his claws and then kisses them softly, a gesture that feels both beautiful and strange, coming from such a large, muscular dinosaur. We know he's large and muscular! I'm so sorry, Snape says finally. It's not your fault, I assure him. It is, he continues. I should never have let a sentient motorcycle like that into my life. Mistakes we all make sometimes. Chapter 10, Snape has to go play a concert in Dublin, so they call in one of his old bodyguards to watch over Harriet while he's gone, since someone is obviously trying to murder her and threaten her with dead wildlife. So this bodyguard is a mammoth named Bumbleborn. I decided to picture him sort of the way Snape is, like, creature head on muscular body. Yes, but who knows, maybe he's just straight up a mammoth. Harriet, this is Bumbleborn, Snape informs me. We went to magic school together back in the day. I'm gay, Bumbleborn says. What? I stammer a little confused. That's cool. I just wanted to say that clearly in this story, instead of claiming years later that it was there in the subtext the whole time. Diversity win. Your mammoth bodyguard is gay. Canonically. Chapter 11. Harriet discovers a threatening message written in motor oil that says simply, "Tonight's the night. Tonight's the night." So Snape is like, actually, it's probably a good idea that you just come to Dublin with me. You're concussed, but like, it's at this point, it's probably better that you just come to Dublin. There's no flights left though, but there is someone. There is someone who is traveling to Snape's concert that night by boat. It's Draco, who is apparently not in league with Bellatrix, but is actually the better one of the two that Snape is kind of still friends with. Harriet is obviously like, fuck no. But Snape is like, no, it's okay, I trust her. We're both ex-chocolate milk addicts, so we have a bond. And she and Bellatrix were never real friends. She's not in on the murder plots. She will take you by boat to the concert in Dublin. Chapter 12. They arrive at the boat, and Draco does seem genuinely apologetic and is not a dick to Harriet for the first time in this entire book. But she also seems a little bit shifty about there being a bodyguard there, so what are the vibes? And Harriet doesn't seem to think that anything is wrong. She's like, you know, this mammoth guy, he's a little scary. Of course she's uncomfortable with him being around. It's fine! There's no fuckery afoot. This is the climax of the book, so obviously there's fuckery afoot. Once they're halfway there, out on the open water, no escape, Bellatrix jumps out from her hiding place on the boat and whips out a wand and uses a spell that I can only describe as gun. Apparently in this universe, they make wands that are like really simplified that even non-wizards can use that do like one violent spell, which is basically gun. The wand is a gun. She straight up murders Bumbleborn. Braco was freaking out at this point because she didn't know there was going to be murder involved. She thought this was just going to be another cute prank. I don't know if the whole cutting the brakes thing counted as a cute prank to her or what, if she draws the line specifically at gun murder. You said we were just going to scare her. Braco finally gets the courage to shout. Bellatrix laughs. Well, she looks pretty scared to me. You just shot someone, Braco screams. You murdered a dinosaur. I didn't say anything about scaring him, Bellatrix replies. Oh my god, we're both going to jail. No jail if there's no witnesses, Bellatrix replies. For all the torture you've put me through, Bellatrix continues, you don't deserve to be blasted with a magic bolt. Gun wand. You deserve to be dragged down into the deep, dark, ice-cold ocean struggling to break free like I struggle every day that me and Snape are apart. Bellatrix keeps her wand squarely pointed at my head, and then slowly begins to back away. When she reaches the door of the boat's cabin, she opens it and reaches inside, slowly dragging forth what appears to be a heavy-weighted fishing net. It turns out Bellatrix's plan involves framing Braco for all of the stalking and murdering so that Snape will eventually take her back or something. Bellatrix then also shoots Braco. I'm not sure how this is supposed to help with the framing thing. But anyway, whatever though, she's supposed to be just completely unhinged at this point, if you hadn't gathered from the planning to sink Harriet to the bottom of the ocean with a fishing net. Also, by the way, the boat is Snape's yacht, the one that was mentioned earlier on in the book, so Harriet realizes that she can cause a distraction by connecting to the yacht's Bluetooth speakers and suddenly blasting music to scare Bellatrix. I'm sorry, was that foreshadowing? Back during their first conversation on the yacht, Snape was like, what kind of music do you like? You should play something on the speakers, and she connects to the Bluetooth speakers. It's kinda dumb, but it's technically foreshadowing, is attention to plot. In a book that I read for content, unheard of, insane, unprecedented. What? So given this distraction, Harriet manages to get the wand away from Bellatrix and then also smash her over the head with a piece of driftwood. In her desperation to get away, Bellatrix suddenly hits the gas hard. The next thing I know, she's shooting past me and launching over the edge of the yacht. The sentient motorcycle flies through the center of the phrase. Flies through the center. Right, she can see the words now with the meta magic. I stand in utter shock, catching my breath as I struggle to make sense of what just happened. Slowly my gaze drifts over to the long piece of driftwood in my hands. My eyes go wide when I realize it's not actually driftwood at all, but the paddle of an old dinghy. The paddle that Bellatrix apparently used to concuss herself before. Could fate have allowed some inconspicuous piece of wood to finally finish the job that it started? Oh shit, suddenly I remember the spell I'd been struggling with for months. The whole time I'd assumed it wasn't working quite right, but maybe it just takes its time to deliver. Motorcycles, for obvious anatomical reasons, can't really swim, so she's just straight up dead now, and then the Irish Coast Guard shows up to rescue Harriet. Chapter 13. So thanks to advanced medical magic, Harriet and Bumbleborn wake up together in a hospital, just in time for Snape to walk in to visit them. I'm not sure about Braco, she might just straight up be dead too, but who knows? I don't think she's mentioned again. I let Snape's warmth envelop my senses, allowing me to enjoy every bit of safety and security that comes with it. It's been a long day, walking on the razor's edge between life and death. Our lips meet in a passionate embrace, as tears begin to stream down the sides of my face. From behind us, Bumbleborn clears his throat loudly. Can you do that somewhere else? The mammoth groans. So they do. They have sex in an empty hospital room. Hey, a doctor suddenly shouts from the doorway, "What are you doing in here?" Snape turns to him and smirks. "What does it look like?" "You have to leave," the doctor informs us sternly. I can't help but chuckle to myself over Snape's nonchalance in the face of a disgruntled man. I guess no matter what happens, he's always going to be a bit of a bad boy. I'm sorry, I just need to stay hung up on the fact that the door was open the entire time, just for a second, like, y'all are that horny that you couldn't just close the door? Okay. Chapter 14, there's a bit of a time skip again. Harriet is a international spell bestseller once again, and she and Snape are living happily ever after. She's on tour with him, and then one day she's at one of his concerts, and he calls her up on stage to personally serenade her with the song, her song. When the chorus finally hits, I can hear the crowd joining in behind Snape with a massive wave of sound, singing along my name at the top of their lungs. The arena momentarily disappears, and for a brief second all of us understand how beautiful, unique, and important We really are. We realize our place as characters on a journey who are better at being ourselves than anyone else, and the cosmic power that comes with it. We fully grasp that sometimes our bodies and our souls are perfectly matched, and sometimes they're matched in a way that's uncomfortable, but these differences speak nothing to the purity and strength of the soul itself. When I turn my attention back to Snape, I notice he's down on one knee before me, a wide smile plastered across his handsome face. The crowd audibly gasps. This is the only everyone clapped situation that is valid. Harriet, will you marry me? Snape asks, his voice carrying out for miles. I don't even hesitate. Yes, I tell him, of course. The crowd goes wild as Snape erupts to his feet, wrapping me in his massive arms. He holds me close, the two of us surrounded by thousands, but for a brief moment in our own private world. In Snape's arms, I feel like I'm free to love, free to relax, free to create. It feels safe to be me. And that is how the book ends. Trans wizard Harriet Porber and the bad boy Parasaurolophus. It was good. I enjoyed reading it. Like I said, it's no literary masterpiece, but like, it's not annoying most of the time, except when they offer. But it's a fun read with a good message, and it was written despite J.K. Rowling's transphobia, so like, what more could you want? Let me know if you are interested in seeing me venture deeper into the Tingleverse, or if I should stay only in the realm of books that are just horrible. Thank you so much for watching this video, my friends. If you generally enjoy my shenanigans, you can support me over on Patreon. I do live Q&As in my Patreon Discord every single Wednesday. You can support my merch. I have sweaters, I have pins, so many buttons, so many such a variety of buttons. There's something for everyone. Outro, video outro, it's done. Goodbye. I will see you soon.